Hey everyone. Hey guys, thanks for joining today. Remember, you can put questions in the chat. Our team will get them to me. We are definitely here to interact, so don't hold back on that. It's fantastic to see the live turnout today. And I'd say I'm surprised, but I also understand the need for teachers to get solid retirement planning advice. And advice is not just about selling you another financial product. So don't worry. I know you're not worried, but we are recording this and you'll get a recording afterward. But also feel free to reach out if you want access to it later. Okay. Just drop us an email. Our contact information will be available a couple times throughout this webinar. So, uh, before we proceed, let me assure you guys your participation here is confidential. It's very important in financial planning. We respect your privacy and understand its importance, especially in financial matters. So let's get to the agenda here. And this is our agenda for the next 30 minutes. We'll do a quick intro to me, some initial action items, and then we'll dive into the 6 mistakes that teachers make, followed by some questions. And hopefully we have a lot of time for questions. And then we want to leave you guys with some more action items. And the point of this webinar is to give you actionable items that will help you immediately. I don't want this to be just another webinar or presentation that you spend your time on and then do nothing. Hopefully this inspires you to take action. Okay. So let me introduce myself. I'm Dave Paulsini. I'm the managing partner of 6 Point Financial Partners. And I started helping teachers and administrators back in 2003, really helping them navigate the complexities of retirement planning. I'm a husband, father, and yes, you can see we have too many pets. Feel free to ask me about that later. What I want you to know is that you can ask me anything. Anything. I'm not here to sell you anything at all. If you have a question or some sort of nagging doubt about what you were doing, please ask. Okay. If I can't answer it due to time constraints, we will get back to you. Okay. Or you can email us or text us. And again, that information will be coming up. So if I were you, I'd be asking, hey, what makes Dave qualified to talk to us about this today? And that's a very fair question. And again, I've been doing this since 2003, but also I was a lead advisor and CEO of a firm that works with literally thousands of teachers and administrators. And with the help of my team, we develop processes, systems, communication calendars, and a lot more, all while learning the complexities of the pension systems, 403Bs. And I've gone deep into retirement income planning with folks just like you. And we still do that today. I've got a podcast, and much of it is specifically directed at this type of planning and the investments, the risk management, tax codes, estate planning for public school employees. And okay, you get it. Basically, I've done all the dirty work or the work that many of you honestly just think is boring. We get that all the time, and I get it. And I want to break that all down for you today in an easy to digest format and hopefully make it a little bit entertaining for you. Okay. Here is contact information for you. That's my phone number. That's a direct text to my phone. Okay. And that's also my email address. All right. So you can scan that QR code and that will take you to our website and some other information for you. And let me see if I can get this next slide to pop up. So, and as you guys know, today we're going to discuss the 6 biggest mistakes that teachers make when it comes to planning for retirement. And through my experience, I've encountered numerous cases that have shaped the advice that I'm about to share with you. And I mentioned that before. So let's dive into it. Here's the first mistake, okay? Planning in advance for your pension. The mistake is not planning, right? Too many of you get really, really close to retirement without figuring out which pension option you are going to take. This should be planned for in advance, and it's based on one thing only, not which option your friend took or your coworker or what someone else tells you to take. This should be based on your need for retirement income and potentially your spouse's needs, okay? Our goal when we're doing pension planning is to get the absolute most out of what we can get from that pension. How do we do that? Okay. Here's a sample pension. I know this looks familiar to a lot of you, with some potential options. And I'm sure, again, many of you know how this works. But, and again, this is also for if the pension system that you are in looks like this. If you are choosing the maximum benefit, so in this case, it's $60,000. If you're choosing the max and you were to pass away, your spouse gets nothing. Okay, so you could work for 30, 35 years plus, retire, take your pension. If you pass away at any point after that, your spouse gets zero of that benefit. Okay. Also, in this case, your children or anyone else really, they also get zero. So, what do the pension systems do? They offer us options to take reductions in our benefit. Okay. So, you can see on here, there's a joint full option. If you were to take that 55,000 in this case and you pass away, your spouse gets 55,000 for the rest of their life. Your kids would still get zero, or other beneficiaries should say. There's a joint half option on here that you take a smaller reduction. You go from 60 to 58, and if you pass away, your spouse would get 29,000. Kids still get zero. Pop-up options are interesting. They usually involve a larger reduction, but if your spouse passes away first, you pop back up to that 60,000. Okay. Basically, what your pension system is doing here is taking out life insurance on you. Okay. And I think that makes sense. And what we're giving up are those numbers. Okay. One thing that many people overlook is that the children get nothing, or any other beneficiary that you would want usually get nothing. And remember, these estimates, these numbers are just estimates. And the benefits, all of them except the maximum, are based on someone else's age. So the younger the beneficiary is, typically the smaller the benefit. A huge mistake that I've come across, and I'll give you a real example here, was a teacher who retired who put her 19-year-old son on as the beneficiary on a joint option. This reduced her benefit by literally tens of thousands of dollars per year. Okay, so if she was entitled to get that 60,000 while she was alive, she might be getting like 30,000. But if she were to pass away, her son would get some small benefit. What do you guys think would have been a better option? I'm seeing some notes in the chat come in. Assuming she could get it, life insurance. Okay. And again, I'm not here to sell life insurance. I'm just telling you how much life insurance, if she was relatively healthy, could she get in her case for $30,000 a year? Probably more than she would ever need. Okay. She wouldn't even need to spend that much based on her situation and all that stuff. But the best way to do this, guys, is to run the numbers in advance. Okay. Choose a benefit that fits your family and see which option is the best. And then whether or not to include life insurance. All right? Let's move on to mistake number 2 here. Contributing a random amount to your retirement accounts. So many teachers either over-contribute, affecting their current quality of life, or they under-contribute, risking their future comfort. So let's talk about finding the sweet spot. How did you guys choose what you're contributing right now? Think about that. Most of you might be smiling, and most of you, I know this again from dealing with thousands of you, you chose a random number that just seems okay without planning for it, and it's totally normal. I'm not judging. $100, $200, $500, 5%, 10%, or I put in the max. Whatever it is. Does that sound familiar? Okay. Here's what you should do. Let's back into the number that actually helps you meet your retirement goals. And this is a picture of a sample and successful retirement income plan. I'll ask you this. Wouldn't it be nice to know why you are contributing what you are, what the goal is, what the number that you're shooting for is? Then, and only then, are we choosing how much comes out of your paycheck. I've done this so many times, and this exercise alone has helped so many people that we have worked with. And it comes down to answering these questions. I get a lot of folks that are saying, how can I get one of those? You could actually do this yourself, or you can get an advisor, but really what you have to do is answer these questions. How much will you need when you retire? Okay. Is it 7,000 a month, 10,000, 3,000, 20,000, whatever your number is, that's what we start with. Then we say, where will it come from? Okay. If you're really far from retirement and you're watching this, maybe we don't know yet, but maybe we get in the ballpark. And as you get closer and closer to retirement, we drill down on what you actually need to save and we adjust your investments accordingly. But we need to start with a number that is your number. That is why it is so important to not listen to anybody else, okay? And more on that later. So, okay. How are we doing? I see questions coming in. I'll make sure we get as many answered as we can. And I know we have 4 more mistakes to cover, so I want to make sure we keep going here. The next mistake, guys. This one is not meant to cause you anxiety, but a lot of times when I talk about this, folks get a little bit worried. With so many options out there for the 403b, for most of you, it's really easy to get lost. So when you started a school or you want to start a 403b plan, the district hands you something like this or a list of some kind. And much of the time, they wish you luck and they say, hey, just start with one of these. I can't tell you how many people were more confused by this than they were helped. And you guys can see what I'm talking about. You probably can't even read that slide. It's small letters, but that every one of those is a different option for you to go start a 403b. Okay. And by the way, it's not the district's job to tell you which one to get into. Their job is just to pass on the information. So don't be mad at your HR and payroll folks. They actually cannot make a recommendation on which one to choose if you have options. Some of you have only one 403b option. That one's easy. But when they give you a list like this, you're more confused. So now that you're confused, what do? You sign up with this guy in the teacher's lounge because he's there. Or you set up an account with a friend's 403b person or a friend of your own. And then what? You never change it. This should be easy, folks. If you have had the same 403b plan, the plan itself, for more than 5 years, it is 100% time to reevaluate that plan itself. If you see XYZ company at the top of your statement, it might be time to look into another option. In many cases, your district now offers new, potentially lower cost options with no strings attached. Do you know that many of you are paying a fee every time you put money into your 403b? Many of you don't know that. Or if you try to take it out, or you move districts, or you change careers, you might be stuck in that 403b for 12 years or longer, or it could be shorter, I guess, but you might be stuck in a 403b plan, and you probably have no idea that there's something called a surrender charge if you try to take it out. The person that set you up with this account most likely didn't tell you this, okay? You don't have to have that type of 403b. I'm not going to get too technical here, but some newer options for your 403b have no cost to get in, no cost to get it out, potentially lower fees, and hundreds of more investment options, okay? I know this because I used to set folks up in that older plan. When the new plan options were added, I literally couldn't do it anymore. Let's make sure you are in the right plan. It could cost you, I can't overstate this, it could cost you a tremendous amount of money to be in the wrong option. And I know this is something that you're not thinking about. Most people say, hey, I'm all set. I've got a 403b. I'm good. You might not be. And it could cost you thousands of dollars. It's at least time to think about it, okay? All right. Moving on. And Steve is telling me to move on quickly here. We're going to run out of time for questions. Are you saving on an after-tax basis? Okay. Understanding the tax implications of your savings can affect your retirement lifestyle, and it can affect you today too. So for most teachers and public school employees, your savings, from what I've seen, is most nearly all pre-tax savings. What does that mean? There are 3 possible places that you can pay taxes on your investments or income. You could pay up front, you could pay as the money grows, or you could pay when you take it. We can only legally avoid 2 out of 3 of these taxes, okay? What we typically see is your pension, your traditional 403b, and your Social Security is all pre-tax, meaning you do not have to pay for it, or the district or state, I guess, when you put money in, when that money grows. But when you take it, it's just like getting a paycheck. You have to pay taxes, okay? My question to you is, what if tax brackets change or go up? I'm not going to go through all this right now, but if your tax bracket goes up by no fault of your own and your only money is in a pre-tax account that you have to pay taxes on, what do? You just lost money, right? Because taxes have gone up and we have nowhere else to get money from. We now have to pay more in taxes. How do we avoid that? If you're still working or still saving, we would start an after-tax savings plan. So this could be new savings. It could be decreasing your traditional 403b and increasing an after-tax plan. I can see questions coming in quickly. I'll answer this one quickly. The options for this, it could be a Roth IRA. It could be a Roth 403b if it's available to you. It could be an after-tax investment account. Could be a savings account at the bank, a CD, a money market. Either way, what we want to consider is diversifying your tax situation for retirement. Most folks do not think about this. How do I pay the least in taxes going forward? We're gonna talk more about that in a minute. Okay. So after-tax savings program, very important, guys. Have you updated and coordinated your beneficiaries? Mistake number 5, not updating beneficiaries. I could talk about this for a really long time. I've seen crazy mistakes made. I have delivered $1 million checks to ex-spouses that were not taken off, and that is real. You can ask me about that later. I've had folks, they go through life and they don't change anything. They've been married, they get divorced, people pass away, people are born. They're not updating their will or estate plan. And I know this sounds familiar because many of you, when we talk about financial planning and doing the full financial plan, one question that would knock out 80% of you would be me saying, have you updated your will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney, and do you need a trust? Most of us can't answer that, okay? A good financial advisor can get you pointed in the right direction. We don't do those, but we do help coordinate them. What an advisor can do is help you update your pension beneficiaries, make sure they're coordinated with your estate documents, your 403bs, your other accounts, your bank accounts, your investment accounts, all of the things, okay? Updating beneficiaries is crucial. And I know this is one of those things that we put off. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it's one of those nagging doubts. I know I need to get to that. Folks, it doesn't take long. It's a very quick thing to take care of. 15, 20, 30 minutes, at least we would know who the beneficiaries are to get updated, okay? And this should be part of a financial advisor's process for you. Every year, every 6 months, whenever you're meeting, every quarter, whatever it is, every 2 years, one of the things on the agenda for a good financial advisory practice is, do we need to make any beneficiary updates? Then it's taken care of for you and it's off your plate and there's no longer a nagging doubt, right? Okay. Mistake number 6, not coordinating your benefits and your retirement with a spouse. I'm going to hit on the main point here and then get into some questions. And I hope that I haven't given too much already because here comes another big one. And I don't want to make you anxious, but I see this again very frequently. And it's missed tax breaks. When is the last time that you and your spouse did a tax plan? A plan. Not gather your tax info, your W-2s, 1099s, and documents, and then give them to an accountant or plug them into TurboTax. I am talking about an actual tax plan. Let's pay less in taxes today. Let's potentially move some things around and pay less in the future if we can. Common mistakes here are missing certain capital gains brackets or rules, or not understanding how marginal tax brackets work. If you understand these things, or you have an advisor that does, and a lot more with the tax laws, you could potentially save a lot of money over your career and in retirement on taxes. Okay? So, quick review here, guys. I know that's a lot, and I was trying to throw this at you quickly. I could dive into each topic for an hour, as you could probably tell. But let's review these mistakes. Mistake number 1, not planning in advance for your pension. Mistake number 2, contributing to a random amount to your retirement. Mistake 3, choosing the wrong 403b option. That's an easy one to take care of. That might be the biggest action item from today. Not having after-tax savings, not updating your beneficiaries, not coordinating with a spouse, okay? The next step or action item, I would say, is just find an advisor that can help you. Unless you love doing all of these things. If you have, one of the folks in my office says, if you have the skill, the will, and the time, I hope this helps you take care of all of these things. If you don't have all of those things, if you don't have the skill, definitely don't do it. If you don't have the will to do it, hire somebody. And if you don't have the time, you also need to hire somebody, right? So find somebody that can help you, that you can trust, that has done this before. All right. And in closing, let's do this. I'm going to get to questions. Here's the deal. First, I hope I didn't make you anxious or worried. I see a lot of people saying that they are worried or they did the wrong thing. I'll say this: you can only plan from here forward, right? If you meet with the right financial advisor, these things will be taken care of for you. And as your needs change and evolve, and you review with that advisor, they can update and make these changes for you. And again, this is all part of the process of a good advisory team. I'll tell you folks, when you know that these things are taken care of, that your pension is planned for, you're saving the right amount, you're in the right 403b, you're all set with taxes, your documents are updated. When all those things are done, it is so liberating. I promise you. And I know you agree with me, because otherwise you wouldn't be on this webinar right now. But I will tell you, so many times I've heard from clients, thank you, Dave. I can't tell you how much this has helped. And I love that. Okay. Let's move on to some questions here. Steve, if we could just pick one for each mistake, or at least make them from different topics, we'll get through them. I can see that there's a lot of questions, which is great. So there's no way we're going to be able to get to all of these. Again, send me an email. I'll give you that address again in a second. But first question. I'm already putting the maximum amount in my 403b. What else can I do? First, good for you. And let me back up for the folks that are not doing that. I'm guessing here, but most people don't start by contributing that much. Most of you are doing what I said earlier, 100, 200, 300, 500. You're picking a number and then you're contributing. But the folks that are maxing out, they're putting in the most amount that they're allowed to put in through the IRS rule. They started with something that's comfortable, and then they increase every single year. And soon enough, a lot more is going in than you thought was possible. Just think, if you're 30 years into your career, 20 years in, and you just increased by $50 a paycheck each year. If you're 20 years in and you just did $50 more pre-tax, that's $1,000 more per paycheck. You guys just need someone to help you, someone that will, I don't want to say hold you accountable, but reach out as part of a systematic process. A good advisory team will reach out usually in every July or August and say, hey, you're getting a raise this year. Let's throw in X amount more according to your plan. Okay. And again, this is part of working with an advisor. So let me answer the question. I never even answered the question. If you're putting in the maximum, for the person that asked this, why are you doing that? Is it for the tax break? If you're married and you're in a high tax bracket, it probably makes sense. And the next thing I would say is to get the rest of the plan in order, right? Your estate plan, your tax plan, make sure your investments are in line with your goals, especially if you're contributing the maximum. You want to make sure it's invested properly and accordingly to what you need. And most likely, don't take this as an absolute recommendation. I can't do that on a webinar, but it probably makes sense to add money every month to an after-tax account, like I mentioned. Okay, you're putting a lot in on a pre-tax basis. If you're not diversified after tax, please do that. I will mention this. I just thought of this. Make sure you don't have any high-interest debt. Okay, if you have any of that, start there. Pay that off. Then get back to saving for what makes sense. Okay, I hope that helps. Steve saying I have two more questions. Sorry, folks. I can see 100 lines and then it keeps going. So next question is, what if I am in the wrong 403b? That's a great question. Well, get an advisor that can help you get out of it. If you don't know if you are in the wrong one, and this is causing some stress after I talked about it, I could go through that list, the list for your school, in about 1 minute and tell you which ones would, I'll say it this way, that I would allow my daughter to contribute to. So if my daughter started a school today and they handed me a list, I could tell you guys very quickly which ones I would allow her to and which ones I definitely would not. That is going to be per person individually based on where you're at and what is allowed. But if you think you're in the wrong one or this is causing you some stress, shoot us a message, text me if that's easier. I can tell you very quickly. Okay. Last question. How can I coordinate with my spouse if we're just not into this stuff? Awesome. I love it. Like a lot of folks, financial planning is not the most exciting topic. We totally understand that. Okay. I would start by meeting with an advisor. I know it's like, I don't want to meet with anybody. Guys, this could be like a 15-minute Zoom intro meeting. If you're really, really not interested and you just want to get started, have a quick meeting with an advisor. You might not even have to leave the house. We do a lot of intro Zoom meetings, 15, 20 minutes, and have that advisor get you organized. So get everything on one page. It won't be that bad, I promise. It might take a total of an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 15 to 30 minutes with the advisor, and another hour, hour and a half to get the information they need and to get everything on one page. And I will tell you guys this, in my experience, once people can see everything on one page, all of your assets. So if you're married, just picture this. We'll just do a husband and a wife. Husband's insurances are above him. Wife's insurances are above her. Below them are joint accounts. On his side are his individual accounts and income. On her side are her accounts. And at the top, we might put the attorney, the accountant, the kids, and just their names so we know who the key people are. And we can do that for folks that have $40,000 or $40 million. You can go on one page, and then it makes it more interesting. Okay. And I will tell you guys, like I said, in my experience, when people see it on one page, that in itself is I'll call it a big win. I wanted to say small win, but that's a big win. And then you might be more interested. And by the way, you better be, because at some point you're going to have to be. And why not now? Right. Okay. We're going to stop there. Folks, reach out to me. And here's my one-liner on this. My team is taking on new clients. Okay. If you're interested or you think we could help, we're not going to pressure you. We're not going to bother you. Shoot me an email, dpulsini@sixpointfp.com. You can find me on social media. You can text me, probably the easiest way for you. Lowest barrier to entry. Text me 585-485-0947 and just write teacher webinar. That's it. Text me teacher webinar. We will get back to you. And minimally, I'm happy to help point you in the right direction. Okay. You do not need to become a client to ask me any questions. All right. That's enough for me. I appreciate the participation. You guys really did ask me great questions, and you asked me a lot of questions that I wish I could get to right now. I hope this was valuable. Also, shoot me an email, a text message. Let me know what we could improve. If you want us to do another one of these, I could give you probably 6 more mistakes, not to overwhelm you with more. But if you're here live, you're going to get a recording. If you're watching the recording, feel free to send this to your coworkers, friends, spouse, anybody that you think would get value from it. Okay? For now, folks, appreciate the time. Make it a great day.